So I recently saw a video on TikTok by another DUI defense attorney. He was in a totally different state. In this video, he told clients or prospective clients that they should always refuse the breath test. I made this video to tell you that is pretty bad advice here in Florida. It is certainly not my advice that you should always refuse the breath test. There are certain scenarios where it makes a lot of sense to take the breath test. For example, if you haven't consumed any alcohol whatsoever and they ask you to do the breath test, take the breath test. If you refuse the breath test, you're going to lose your license. If you haven't consumed any alcohol whatsoever, the result is going to come back 000, and that is going to tremendously help your defense attorney secure a dismissal or a reduction of your charge. If you really only had 1 or 2 beers like you tell the officer that you did, in all likelihood, it makes a lot of sense to take the breath test. Even if you're just a little bit over the legal limit, the consequences are not going to be nearly as bad as if you refuse the breath test. And the last reason why here in Florida, the blanket advice to always refuse a breath test is bad advice is that if this is your second time being charged with a DUI and it's your second time potentially refusing a breath test, the consequences of a second refusal are huge. In Florida, if you're charged with a second refusal, you lose your driver's license for 18 months and there's no hardship license whatsoever. And in Florida, if you're facing a second charge of refusal to submit to testing, the prosecutor often seeks a jail sentence of 30 to 60 days in jail. So you might have a strong case on the DUI, but the allegation of refusal to submit to testing, very easy for the government to generally establish, and they can get up to 1 year in jail just for the allegation of refusal to submit to testing. So if the question is it good advice to always refuse a breath test? Not here in Florida.